Hello and welcome back to Tea with Triclaw, our ongoing chat, discussion / podcasty thing. I know it's been a while since we've done one of these. There's been various problems ongoing at the moment. Isn't that right, Dane?
I'm dying.
Yeah, it is extremely warm here today in Britain. We're all a bit...
31 degrees Celsius, and contrary to the name, we do not have tea.
Yeah, we do not have tea today. We've all got cold water. And today's Tea with Triclaw is a bit different because we're introducing our new third member.
Oh, hello there. I'm Sabre.
Did you have to do the hello there?
Hello there.
You do realise...
Hello there, General Kenobi.
Yeah, I'm about to say, you do realise the comments for this are going to be full of now
Hello there,
quotes
General Kenobi.
from General Grievous.
That's literally the comment I get all the time. Hello there.
Hello. No, Sabre is our new third member. He also lives with me and Dane here at the Triclaw.
And Vice.
And Vice at the Triclaw household. And Sabre is... this is Sabre's first video, so be nice to him.
Don't be nice to him.
It's okay, I'm used to Twitch chat.
Maybe Sabre can tell you more about the games he likes to play.
For the most part, I used to do a lot of Resident Evil speedrunning, and I play a lot of Dark Souls likes and things like that, so it's probably mostly what you'll be seeing from me.
Oh god, he does speedrunning. He's somewhat professional.
Is it Dark Souls likes?
Soul-like games.
Souls like. So right.
That's what you're used to hearing.
Yes. Yes. So Sabre is hoping to probably do Elden Ring to start with on the channel.
I think the original game you were thinking about doing was V-Rising?
I was considering V-Rising, but I'm not sure how much content's going to be in that. So I was thinking either Resident Evil to start with, because I'm not sure if I will be able to record Elden Ring.
Well, at least we'll have something to replace my Alien Isolation.
He doesn't get scared though.
Fuck you.
You haven't seen
Excuse-
me playing on Village of Nightmares. That actually does get a bit tense.
Excuse me, mister. Oh yeah, no sausage pizza.
Ah!
Look, that particular situation, it was just startled.
We were literally next door laughing our asses off, ordering pizza while we scared the shit out of you.
Is that a case if I need to go back and find the VOD and just snip that bit out?
No, it's okay. I'm already in the process of making a video with all the best bits of my Alien Isolation stream on it, so that people can enjoy all of the terrible jump scares.
All we need to do is make Fletcher say ooh again.
No, we don't.
We have a clip of that.
It was more of a ow, but close enough.
Oh yeah.
So let's get to the first of the topics for discussion before I kill certain individuals live on mic.
Yay, I get out of the heat!
There is no. You do realise you're going straight to hell anyway, so you'll be...
It's colder than it is here.
So the first conversational topic today was suggested by Sabre, and I'll let him talk about it more.
Basically, the conversational topic, because it's been coming out quite a lot across the board, because of games like Elden Ring, is should all games have difficulty selections? And in my opinion, no. But what about you?
By difficulty selections, you mean easy?
Easy, hard, medium, expert.
Nightmare.
Yeah, and so on.
You know, the worst games were the ones that have like two middles. You have like easy, slightly less easy, normal, hard, harder, and then
What's wrong with you?
Yeah, what's wrong with you / you're not going to enjoy this game anymore. Maybe you should explain more about why you think it's not necessary.
Well, it's like this thing across the board currently where like everyone seems to think that every game should suit every person, so they're kind of like jumping on Elden Ring specifically because it's so successful, with the whole idea of everybody should be able to experience it, it should be laid out a certain way, should have difficulties so everybody can do it. And it's just like, no, if there's hundreds of thousands of games out there, just because a couple don't meet your criteria doesn't mean that's wrong.
Something, get good?
I mean, it doesn't even really get good. I just don't think that every single game should fit these set rules. If a game, all the Dark Souls games and all the Souls-like do not have difficulties, they don't need it. You just need to put a little bit of time in to learn to play it the way that it's meant to be played.
Yeah, I think it's important to have a distinction between being able to access the game. So that's stuff like stuff for the audio impaired, stuff for the visually impaired.
Hi there.
as opposed to people who find the game difficult and therefore can't play it. Because I think video games definitely need to start becoming more accessible. There's a lot more they could do. Integrated colorblind modes, for example. Looking at no one in this room in particular. Hello, Dane!
I'm colorblind too.
Oh,
Yeah.
Sabre's also colorblind.
You're the only one who's not colorblind now.
Great. But yeah, integrated colorblind modes, integrated this audio description for the audio visually impaired and stuff like that. So
You really flummoxed that sentence.
I did.
I tend to use the audio modes anyway, like in games like Left 4 Dead and things like that, so I know when things are around because sometimes you don't hear them anyway.
This is going to be a slight offshoot from the conversation we're actually having, but there's one audio impairment thing that people tend to have on a lot of the time, and they don't think about it. Closed captions. Sorry, go ahead.
What do you think about game difficulty over there? Since you play a lot of
I play a lot of MMOs and a lot of
roguelikes, which don't have a difficulty setting either.
Yes. Actually, this was a part, I think something I was actually going to bring up, is because of games that I play which don't have them. Like, roguelikes don't have them because the point of roguelikes is to die and progressively get better and better. Not looking at any games in particular, Enter the Gungeon, Hades,
Rogue Legacy.
Yeah, FTL. There's more in my head right now. Exit the Gungeon. There's a lot. And, oh yeah, Darkest Dungeon as well there. But another one thing that I think of is then MMOs wouldn't actually be a thing anymore if that was the case. Because if it was available to everyone in the sense that you can select your difficulty, then the idea of an MMO just doesn't work.
Well, yeah, no MMO is capable of having a difficulty setting because you're all tied to one world, as it were.
People would it's the idea of leveling areas and things like that, because the concept would just die. You could just go anywhere on the map. So I do believe WoW was toying with that idea for a little while, where it's basically like the world would scale to you, and it's kind of like, no, don't do that.
See, Guild Wars 2 has the inverse of that, of you scale to the level you're in.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll never be overly powerful in any area. You'll always be as powerful as you were at that level, which I find kind of nice.
Yeah. Like, going back to what I was saying, though, about Elden Ring, I honestly think that got the flag just because of how successful it was, and everyone wanted to kind of jump on it a bit more. Whereas, like, you don't really see people arguing the same point for roguelikes and things like that.
Or
like,
Souls.
Yeah, you don't see anyone coming along and being like, oh, well, the difficulty settings in, say, RTS strategy games need to be changed. And anyone who's ever played an RTS knows that the difficulty settings on most of them are fucked up, because you have easy, which is usually too easy, normal, which is borderline hard, and hard, which is the computer will cheat.
Oh, yeah.
And hard, which is Candy has nukes.
Yeah. You know.
Oh, well, what's the other one? It's like, you can play You Don't Try, Bit Sponge, Bullet Sponge, and Unkillable.
Yeah, see, that's the other problem with difficulty settings, is how the difficulty is then introduced.
It's artificial difficulty rather than skill.
Yes. Like in Fallout 4, you put the game to higher difficulty settings and you're literally sat there firing all of your ammunition at a single target because they just become bullet sponge enemies.
Does Skyrim have difficulty?
Skyrim does have difficulty. Done in a similar way. Well, it's not very noticeable because you have to pause in game and change it in the menu in game, and I think there's only 2 settings.
I genuinely couldn't remember selecting a difficulty in Skyrim.
It's kind of one of the reasons why I liked the way New Vegas did it, where it was like, you had your normal, easy, hard, and then hardcore. Like, I liked that. I thought, because that gives a different kind of dynamic to it.
You're referring to survival, aren't you?
Survival, yeah.
I think difficulty in games tends to work more for games which have an intrinsic story to them. Kind of like the Alien Isolation or the Persona series, for example. Because lower difficulties make you a lot easier to focus on story elements.
It's interesting you should mention Alien Isolation, because that handles its difficulty in an entirely unique way.
Yes,
being that the higher the difficulty, the more aggressive and intelligent the alien's AI becomes.
And actually also as well, the game actually has a very unique system in the fact that the way in which you play, and the more aggressive you are, the more aggressive the alien is, and your behaviour really actually affects the way that game behaves around you.
This explains why it was always in the pipes when you were around.
other than it cheats.
Oh yeah,
which is really what difficulty should be. Difficulty should not be artificial. It should be a more interesting experience.
Yeah, so you can actually genuinely use skill to get around these things rather than just, I need to put lots more bullets into this thing and keep moving.
Don't worry about the children screaming in the background, that wasn't us.
Yeah.
But no, when it comes to Elden Ring and this whole thing cropped up with Dark Souls 3, didn't it?
It's kind of cropped up with all of them, but it's steadily gotten worse as the games have gone on, like even with Bloodborne, Sekiro,
Code Vein.
I never played Code Vein, never really looked into it. I'm interested.
It is anime Dark Souls, it is quite fun.
Yeah.
I mean...
I have a scythe.
If you are going to buy a Souls-like game, I feel that you have the responsibility to understand what a Souls-like game is going to be like.
And what it feels like.
And
There is a certain expectation.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're calling yourself a Souls-like, then you have to be brutal at a certain point.
And yeah, the difficulty of the Souls-like game is, I would say, part of the design.
Because it's weird. It's ruthless, but normally it's fair still. Whereas in Elden Ring, I'm not going to lie, there are just certain parts of the game where they do genuinely just feel unfair. But there is a lot you can do, and they've added a lot more into this one, like Ashen Summons and stuff, so like a temporary summon that you can have with you, and a lot more magic, a lot more buffs and things. And so they do give you a lot, but they also slap you a lot. But I still don't feel like a difficulty would suit the game, because if you could put it into easy mode, you would just walk through the whole game and you would get no sense of achievement from beating that big boss that's taken you 50 tries to get through. There's no rush anymore.
That's what Zero Punctuation said. He at first didn't understand what everyone's appeal for Dark Souls was until he started properly playing for it, and now he adores the franchise.
Then again, there is another kind of thing that the what game was it? The Halo franchise actually did, where it had selectable difficulty, but they had the ability to feel like you've achieved more by having achievements for different difficulty ratings.
That's one different aspect. The other thing that Halo started doing, and in fact some other games have started doing, like Ark, Survive and Evolved, is creating your own difficulty setting. So they just give you, I think Anno 1800 has done it as well. They give you a set of parameters and you choose how difficult or how easy you want those particular aspects of the game to be.
You realize Dark Souls did that too, right? Yeah. Your character class when you start at the beginning.
No, but that's not
Not really in Dark Souls anyway. Dark Souls, your character beginning, or the only thing that determines is your stats. In Elden Ring, there is actually hidden background effects, like a caster will just inevitably be more squishy than a vagabond, for instance, with the same stats. People argue this all the time, but I've tested it. If you start as a caster, you will take more damage from a hit than if you were started as a vagabond.
What do they call it in Dark Souls? The depraved is what I was thinking of mostly.
I think that's the equivalent of the you start with nothing, basically.
Yeah.
See, I would argue that character class or character race is not create your own difficulty. By create your own difficulty, I mean something a bit more substantial, like your damage modifiers, your armor modifiers, experience per whatever. And there's a lot of different parameters that a lot of different games used to
There was an interesting one, actually. I don't know if I know many other games that do this, and I only really played a couple, but some of the Silent Hill games, they would actually have difficulty modifier and puzzle difficulty modifier as two separate choices, which I always thought was kind of cool, honestly. So it wasn't all just tied to one thing. So if you didn't like the puzzles, you could slap them down to easy, but have the game in the hardest actual difficulty, which I thought was a really cool way of doing that.
That would be amazing, but it would make me feel like so much of a dumbass of having to manually lower the puzzle difficulty.
Yeah, but I suppose that if you've been through the game once already, the puzzles are probably the least interesting bit of it. So you do want to just skip through them to play the game.
Which kind of goes through back to my Persona point as well.
Let us know in the comments what you think about game difficulty, whether you think every game should have it, whether you think Elden Ring was just a victim of its popularity.
As a summary of opinions here, we know Sabre says he doesn't think. I don't think it should. What about you, Fletcher?
Oh no, I don't think it should, and I would go further to say that games need to start becoming more accessible as opposed to complaining about their difficulty.
Yes, Guild Wars 2.
Again, I think it's the unique genre of each particular game. Not every game needs to fit the niche.
Yeah.
So Dane, what have you been playing?
Well, recently I've been playing a lovely little roguelike called Triclaw. Yeah, big surprise, I'm playing roguelikes again. I've been playing Guild Wars 2 again, which is great. And I suppose the one that you want me to say, which I've not said yet, is I've been playing Monster Hunter Rise. And soon enough, the new expansion of it, Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak.
Do you have anything you'd like to discuss about Monster Hunter?
Well, I don't know. Do you have anything you want me to discuss about Monster Hunter?
I have something I want to discuss about Monster Hunter.
It's almost like you want me to say something. Go on.
Yes. The fact that whole game is based around you killing innocent animals for no reason but other.
In Monster Hunter Rise, there's a reason.
Is there?
Yes. Ties into the main story of the game. In Monster Hunter World, there wasn't much of a reason, and it kind of made sense in a way that they changed the reward system for capturing monsters in that game, because the whole idea was to ecologically survey this new land that you've come to, so capturing was meant to be more of a precedent in it.
Ecological survey. I saw you cut tails off of these animals you were supposed to be surveying.
We needed to find out what blood type they were, and also if the meat tasted good. And I also need some quills to make new armor. So anyway, poison effects, yes. In Monster Hunter Rise, the story is mostly based around how this thing called the Rampage is affecting a village which you're in, and you are basically trying to protect it from the monsters which are trying to destroy your home. And
which you invaded their land to do.
I was about to say, are they actually invading your homes, or have you just simply built your homes on their territory?
I haven't looked into the lore of the game that much, sadly.
I think we all know the answer.
Actually, we built, the game is actually says specifically that you build the town was built in an area which was out of the way of most monsters. It says that at some point during the end, but I can't really remember when. But it's not so much a hack and slash. Well, it is a hack and slash and grindy upgradey game. But I swear it's fun.
Also, can I just say, like, in Monster Hunter especially, they kind of phone it in a little bit on the design of their animals. I mean, most of them are, this is a dinosaur with some spikes on it, or some wings on it.
You can say that's to the early Monster Hunter games then, because that's what a lot of the designs are ported from.
I mean, let's be fair, you could simply you could stick the Indominus Rex or Indoraptor into Monster Hunter World, and it would probably fit in reasonably well.
Well, as long as you glue a rock on its head and give it some wings.
Yeah.
Don't you fucking dare stick your goddamn dinosaurs in my fucking game.
Stick some Wolverine claws on the Indoraptor, you know.
I mean...
What, make the Indo-Ferrazino?
I mean, the Scorpius Rex from Canva Cretaceous is basically a monster from Monster Hunter World. It fires poisonous quills from its tail, for heaven's sake. And
what you're hearing is my mental ability going out the window as they talk about dinosaurs.
Well, some of us have to bring a subject that's a bit more academic.
And what games have you been playing then?
Well, I've been dabbling everywhere.
That's not healthy.
Jurassic World Evolution 2, obviously. Battlestar Galactica Deadlock, which is a curious combination of RTS and turn-based strategy. I reinstalled Ark Survival Evolved, but that's simply because Lima has been playing it, and
how many DLCs do you have?
I have none of the actual paid DLCs.
Oh, so it's probably only about 100 gig then.
Yeah, it's only 130 gigs.
It's not like 300.
Yeah.
Because of the add-ons and stuff that we have, it usually goes up to closer to 200, but I'm not reinstalling it. It takes too long.
Ark 2 should be coming out in a year or so.
They haven't even finished the first one, I don't think.
Ark is one of those games I really struggle to get into, simply because it's almost impossible to achieve anything when you're working on your own. Without using particular cheats.
I remember that we started doing stuff and then tried to figure out how dinosaur breeding worked and then just kind of gave up.
I remember we constructed a raft and turned it into a warship by sticking multiple ballistas with the intention of going. We wanted to go and get a bunch of fur by going and killing all the saber-toothed tigers on that little icy island.
Didn't we also kill a T-Rex with that thing?
Well,
annoyed a T-Rex with that thing?
I believe I died at some point during the operation to go and kill all those saber-tooths to get the furs.
Oh yeah, you did.
It's not even the best way to get fur. You're just picking on them. Those poor innocent saber-teeth.
Saber-teeth?
Yeah, saber-teeth.
We killed the beavers too.
We killed anything which had fur. Then there's the trilobites.
What else have I actually been playing?
Life, the game. Silence as he checks his computer for what he's for lunch recently.
Empire Total War as well. I forgot about that one. I've been on a bit of a strategy game binge.
Oh, cool.
I've been tempted to play Total War Warhammer, or learn to play them, should I say? Because if you have 1 and 2 installed, you can kind of it gives you all the maps and all the like champions and everything. Whatever.
Most disappointing thing. My friend actually brought me the first Total War Warhammer years ago, and I still have not installed it or played it.
So, Fletcher, you have bought an external CD drive reader.
I have brought an external CD drive.
Is that purely for the purpose of playing the games you have stored under your desk?
Well, it should be noted that most of the games under my desk I now have on digital platforms. Sins of a Solar Empire, for example, or all of the Command & Conquer franchise. One of the few ones that will probably have to be played at some point is Jurassic Park Operation Genesis.
Oh, more Jurassic Park.
Yay.
Yay.
But I also primarily brought it so I could watch Downton Abbey with people.
Oh,
on stream.
you ruddy Brit.
They wanted to watch Downton Abbey, so I.
By they, do you mean one specific person?
Yes.
Who goes
By a very rosy name.
Yes. There's nothing wrong with introducing Americans to British culture.
There is when it's dramatized and made by an American company.
Anyway, back to game.
Oh, I forgot. We're bowing to games, aren't we?
Do you, Dane, have something, a question, a random topic you'd like to discuss?
Have you ever had a game which was too difficult to complete? I just realised how weird I sounded while saying that.
Well, I didn't complete Goldeneye on the N64 until I was 22.
Oh god, you're my age.
I always really struggled killing Alec Trevelyan at the end
Isn't he?
on the antenna.
Oh no.
Until I played the game again when I was at university and killed him the first time I tried. So either video game difficulty has trained us more, or I was just lucky.
Or you got good.
There is still one game to this day that I played quite a lot of, but still did not manage to finish. And that would be the first Gears of War. I failed to kill the big bad guy at the very end on the train so many times, and I still have not defeated him.
I think I've done 1, 2, 3, and then I kind of just stopped.
Yeah, the third one I didn't think was that good.
The new ones they're just not even Gears games anymore, in my opinion.
Mm.
They're just kind of, let's bulk onto a game.
What about you, Dane? Have you failed to finish a game because of difficulty?
It's almost like I said the game earlier.
Hmm?
Monster Hunter World Iceborne. Iceborne. I actually never finished the game in the sense that you can consider that game finished. Basically, at the very end of the game, I think I'm okay to say it's like games like from before 2020, so I should be okay. Spoiler if you're not. At the end of that game, there's 2 elder dragons, one called Elatrion, one called Fatalis. I never actually beat either of them.
Fatalism. Sorry, that joke was kind of...
It was very bad. But I never beat Elatrion, and I was talking to someone recently who said the main cause of that is probably because I play with other people. Because monsters scale depending on how many people fight it. And in World especially, if it hit 3 people, it would scale it to a 4-person monster. And Elatrion is a lot of time-based and health-based stuff that you need to hit. Don't know about Fatalis because I never actually got to beat him because it's locked behind Elatrion. But I never finished that game. In my memory, I've only never completed games because I got bored.
I was trying to think, and I think one of the only notable ones, and it was actually difficulty related again, because trying to do it in the highest difficulty, was Doom 2015. I just could not get through it on the hardest difficulty. It's just too brutal. Everything will almost one-shot you, or two-shot you, and it's just I tried endlessly, and I just never could get through it. It just absolutely wails on you way too much, in my opinion.
Well, in a similar vein then to that question, what are the games that we are most proud of that we have completed in their highest difficulties, or games that we have completed in their ultimately highest difficulties. For me, most of the Wolfenstein games, I've completed New Blood and the New Order, Old Blood and New Order in their maximum top difficulty, which I think is like uber. Simply because in those particular games, the gunplay was so good that yes, the enemies may get a little bullet spongy at higher difficulties, but it's not too noticeable. And because the game places more of an emphasis on stealthing your way around as opposed to clear firefights with the Reich, like if you're playing the game the way it's intended, you shouldn't suffer too much anyway. But yeah, those two I think are some of the few. I think I completed Halo 3 on legendary difficulty, but that was a long time ago.
I was going to say, for like my example of like a game that I was like proud of finishing, I think it was Halo 3 Legendary with, I think it was the Iron Skull. There was like a challenge where you had to have a number of the bronze skulls on, and in Legendary, and yeah, that took some doing, but it, you know, it's kind of one of those things where the more it beats you down when you do finally finish it, it's the Dark Souls thing all over again. When you do beat it, it's just the rush. Like, just makes it all the more fun. Like,
What about you, Dane?
This is gonna sound bad.
You haven't ever completed a game on its highest difficulty, have you?
No. In fact,
You peasant.
I would probably go as far to say as I've probably never completed a game.
Really?
Yeah, I kind of have that thing where I don't enjoy myself a lot of the time when I'm playing games by myself, because I don't I don't get a lot of reward out of it. Don't get me wrong, I am a total introvert, but I need people to play games with because I start going in my own head. And because of that, I kind of get bored of playing games a lot. In fact, I don't think I've actually completed a game in any sense of the word of completed.
I mean, haven't you technically completed Enter the Gungeon? I mean, you've gotten the gun.
No, I haven't. I have completed a run through of Enter the Gungeon. I have never completed the game Enter the Gungeon, because there's not only hidden characters in that game, but completing that game requires you to not only complete the task and kill the task with every character, but also requires you to beat bullet hell.
is this like a Hades thing where just because you've gone all the way through it once does not mean you've done anything?
Yeah, I still need to go through Hades like 5-6 more times before I actually finish it too.
I watched one of my friends go through the whole thing like 9 times. I was like, yeah, we're not even getting started.
Yeah, that's about right. I suffer from I can't be asked-ism.
What?
It's where I can no longer be asked playing a game because it does not bring me joy. And then I sit there watching it.
This does not bring me joy.
I then sit there looking at my list of, why did I stop playing this? I should play this again. And then I play it and I'm like, oh, that's why. I got bored of it. Which is really bad because I've got so many games which I have still to play.
Yeah. I need to play more of Valheim.
Don't even.
Isn't that the Viking
Yeah.
thing?
The reason I like it though is the building in it actually is kind of fun. It's not it's not like Minecraft where you build and you can just build and build and build. This, like, if you start building and it doesn't make sense and there's too much tension, the thing will collapse.
Be like Besieged.
And you can actually,
Not what I thought you were going to say.
and you can actually like destroy the environment, so you can like dig and you can actually kind of terraform the environment and stuff, which I actually like, because people keep comparing V Rising to Valheim, and it's like they're not even remotely the same.
Your mention of terraforming just reminds me of when Zero Punctuation was playing Minecraft, and he says he had 2 tips, one of which was don't rely on fire to clear forest unless you wanted the landscape to look like the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Or if you wanted to make look like the Vietnam War, all you need to do is install vaults and then drop nuclear bombs on top of things.
We are about halfway through the year, so I think it's worth mentioning if there's any games we are interested in that are due to come out.
There's games coming out this year?
And I can already get started with the fact that Frontier, a company that makes Planet Zoo, Planet Coaster, Jurassic World Evolution, are making the next Formula One manager game.
Huh.
Which is quite a big...
You know what it's going to be? You're going to make the track.
I wouldn't mind that. A game where you make your own F1 tracks would be pretty sweet, but like, it's quite a big jump from we're going to build parks to we're going to play a Formula One game.
Is it though?
You might be pleasantly surprised though, because the company that made like Isolation, things like that, they've never made a game like that before.
Well, yeah, Creative Assembly, who made Alien Isolation, made strategy games to start with.
Maybe the whole breath of fresh air thing? So it's like, gives you a bit more incentive to try and do something better and newer?
Well, here's the thing that you kind of miss with like certain mods being installed and stuff with those games. But it's not that far of a jump. Because technically with the Planet Coaster, Zoo Tycoon and all that, I don't remember what it's called.
Planet Coaster?
So fuck off.
This is not a game about fucking Hollywood.
I will hit you.
And how everyone else in a Chris Pratt film basically might as well
we
not
can
be
make
there.
we can make fucking fun of how I pronounce coaster like later, but technically those are build your own parks. Like they are world building games in that kind of sense of where you build the world, but they are also kind of got the subgenre of management to them as well.
Well, yeah, but I would argue the games like Jurassic World Evolution and Evolution 2 really skimped out on the management side, which they can't do with something like F1 2022 Manager.
Yeah. Isn't that right, Mr. Game Dev Tycoon?
Yes.
When it comes to like games that I'm waiting to come out, one of the big ones is, I think it's Sons of the Forest, the second Forest game. It's an open world survival game where you're trying to survive a bunch of mutants and cannibals on an island.
Sounds like Rust.
Yes, but you don't have to deal with people that are absolute,
Rock waffles?
Yeah.
People who are going to make your gameplay less fun.
Yeah. So you kind of like invite people. They've done a lot of world work from what it seems with this one. It's a lot more environmental, and also the one of the things that cracked me up, I could not stop laughing when I saw it in the tutorial. You build your base out of like, you cut down trees and you use the logs to make walls and like everything, so you literally make everything. There was one scene where this cannibal like native comes over, he starts like smashing up your wardrobes, and he's trying to drag this huge log away, and he's just like, it just killed me. I just couldn't stop laughing.
What about you, Dane? Any games coming out? Are you checking games that are coming out on your phone in order to have something to discuss?
No, I'm not. I think I'm gonna phone it in here. That was not a pun. I'm gonna phone it in here and just say, Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak.
A DLC. A DLC is come on.
I mean,
There's nothing coming out.
I don't follow gaming news.
Maybe you should.
But
kind of interested in the Resident Evil 8 Village DLC that's coming out, actually.
Oh.
Obviously, yeah, if no one's played it, spoilers, but basically the whole thing is Ethan Winters, the main character, you basically go into wherever he ends up in the game to try and basically get his baby daughter back, who is, because of story bullshit, has powers and all this stuff, and at the end of the game, turns out she's actually a lot more powerful than everyone thought. This is like later on in life, and you get to play as her as an adult, and they've made her an entire like a storyline and all that stuff, and they've also added in a bunch of characters for the mercenaries mode in the, like, you get to play as a big vampire mama in mercenaries.
Lady Delatras.
Demetresque, yeah. Like, so you get to play as her, and you get to play as Heisenberg, which is probably my favourite character. The one with the leather hat and a big metal hammer. I love him, he's such an asshole.
I mean, if I was to be excited for a game, and I definitely haven't just initially looked this up like 5 seconds ago and have no point of reference if this game is being actually released this year, Bayonetta 3 maybe?
I didn't even know they were developing the third one.
Apparently they are.
I forgot there was a second one.
Yeah, apparently there's a Bayonetta 3, which is apparently the initial release date is 2022. Calling me surprised. Although, looking at this list, I have actually realised something as well. They're releasing a new Splatoon. They're releasing Splatoon 3. And considering people's things about Splatoon 2 was, oh, they've just made Splatoon 1.
Yeah, but that's what they said about Bayonetta 2, that you basically, if you play Bayonetta 1, you've played Bayonetta 2.
No, you don't understand. If you play Bayonetta 1 and you play Bayonetta 2, you get more of Bayonetta. That's the point. Have I made myself clear?
Yes, you have made yourself.
That's the point of playing Bayonetta.
Although, going back to the Resident Evil franchise, I think there's a discussion to be had about whether remakes are any good for the industry, because the Resident Evil, we've had Resident Evil 1 and 2
And
3 remade.
As far as I'm concerned, because I love the Resident Evil series, as you well know, the 1 remake is actually quite good because they did it in that classic style, fixed camera points. So it was a good remake, and a lot of people love it in the community, that love that traditional style. And it is fun to watch. I don't think I'd play it because I don't like fixed camera, but it looks good and it's got a good story, and they remade it very well. It is its own game in its own way. And they did a Resident Evil 2 remake, which again, incredible game. And then they did 3, which basically they should just delete from existence. They copped out so hard on 3.
See, surely this is one of those sort of diminishing return situations, because what are they going to do now? Remake Resident Evil 4 and then remake Resident Evil 5.
See, the thing is, Resident Evil 4 is up there with one of the most beloved Resident Evil games. So, like, if they remake that and they balls it up, there will be a massive repercussion from that, because it's just not worth it at the end of the day. But mine's saying that they did actually release I think it's exclusive to the Oculus, which is kind of a bad move, but a VR Resident Evil 4. So it's like fully made for VR, retextured and stuff like that. It's like not incredible or anything, but I actually kind of want to give it a try because I've never played 4 all the way through, even though it's one of the best ones. So,
Leon!
oh, God.
I will hurt you.
What about you? Have any of your favourite games been remastered, Dane? Or remade, as it were? Sorry? Because they are actually different things these days.
Yeah.
I think the only one I can think of, which was technically remade, was Pokemon Diamond and Pearl.
Did you ever play Medieval on the PS1? Or Medieval, should I say? No?
Don't think so.
Well, basically, it's like a silly game where you play as like a skeleton knight, and he can like pull his head off, put it on a hand, and run around and stuff. Just like a whole combat thing. I think a lot of it was like based in like London and stuff like that. But it's a really weird little game, and I only just found out apparently they actually remade it or remastered it like a few months ago or something. Like, so that might be something that I might play as well.
I think what I was trying to get at looking at Dane is like the Final Fantasy 7. Is it 7?
I don't even know what.
Or is it 8? Which is the one that they're doing at the moment? So they've released the first.
It's about Cloud, right?
Third of it. It is 7, isn't it?
I think it is 7. This is where we need advice.
Incidentally, something else I want to say. There are too many Final Fantasy games. It's a franchise that needs to die. Anyway,
But
carry
not
on.
That was the point of it. It was supposed to be the Final Fantasy because the company was going under, but it
never ended up happening because it was too popular.
Perhaps you should get that really terrible lawyer off The Simpsons to sue them for false advertising, like he did with the Never-Ending Story.
But Fletcher, I never played Final Fantasy 7.
Oh, I thought you... Oh no, you Persona, weren't you?
No.
No?
I only picked up Persona after the craze died on.
I swear there is
I have played
Japanese...
a Final Fantasy, but it was Final Fantasy 13.
I always kind of had a big disdain towards Final Fantasy because it was always that game. Oh, you're not a real gamer. You haven't played Final Fantasy. Okay, I'm never going to play them then.
Yeah. Like the only Final Fantasies I've actually played is 3, 13, 2, and 14, and that's all I've
I
played.
never understood why they did another 13. Like, who gives a crap about Lightning?
So
She's just an angsty teenager.
you're saying you don't understand why they did a third 13?
She's like Kylo Ren from the new trilogy.
Oh god,
She's just a goth that needs to be slapped
See,
and sent back to
what
their
about
mother.
Sarah?
Sarah! Not spelled the way that it sounds.
The only Final Fantasies I think I've ever actually put time into would be 13. I think I played the first 2 discs and got bored. My friend let me play a little bit of his 13 too, and I got bored.
This friend is not me.
And I watched, I think, which one has Blitzball? Is that 7?
That's the one which has been remade, which I
Yeah, I think I
No, I
so.
thought that was the one with
thought that was 10.
big shoe guy in it.
Either way, I've watched someone play quite a bit of that, and honestly. Other than that, I've played the MMO. I can see why people like Final Fantasy, but I don't get the hype.
Blitzball is from Final Fantasy X.
Then I've watched that one played.
I've got the remake of 10.
The thing about Final Fantasy games that just put me off is that for a lot of them, the characters are stereotypical archetypes. Like, take the characters of Final Fantasy 13. They can all be described in their stereotyped one word. You have angsty, naive, quirky, not white.
Yay!
They can all be described in one word.
Wasn't his name Saz or something?
I don't know. All I remember is he was like
Chocobo
the
in his
60s afro.
Yeah.
Like,
In 13.2, he's one of the people which runs the casino.
You know,
I'm not giving a spoiler warning, it's been out for ages.
Final Fantasy games never appeal to me. There are too many of them.
I mean, Final Fantasy 3, the stereotype goes to knight, little brother, princess, punk rocker chick who doesn't take no shit from anyone.
So angst.
No,
No.
she's never angsty is the thing. She is never angsty, she's just a tomboy.
Ah.
That's the word I was looking for.
But verging back onto the topic of remaking, are there
none.
any games from our past that we would like to see remade to modern standards?
Dino Crisis.
Oh, damn, you stole mine, you. I'm going to have to come up with another one now.
You can just join me on the oh wait, no, you can't because you are old. I'm too young to want anything remade in the modern standard.
Really? There's nothing from your childhood? No older games that you'd like to see remade to a modern day,
You assume I played older games.
you know?
I mean, the only game I wanted to see remade, they bastardized it.
Which one is that?
Battlefront 2.
Oh, Star Wars Battlefront 2. Well, yeah, but Star Wars Battlefront 2 is not really a remake of Battlefront 2. It really should have been called Battlefront 4, but EA wanted us to conveniently forget that 2 other better games existed.
That should have been called Battlefront Loot Box.
Wait,
Battlefront Loot Box.
There was a Battlefront 3?
Battlefront Casino.
Wait, was there actually a Battlefront 3?
Well, no, but technically, because EA made Battlefront 1. There's Battlefront 1, Star Wars Battlefront 2, EA Battlefront 1, EA Battlefront 2.
Oh, right. I didn't know there was actually another one.
Because EA wanted us to forget that 2 other better games existed before their terrible loot box infested trash piles.
The thing that makes that even worse than the fact that what it already is they promised they wouldn't do any of that.
Yes.
That's what makes it so bad. They promised not to do it, and they did it.
Yes, well.
I mean,
Bethesda promised not to make Fallout 76 pay to win.
I'm going to put it this way. I had an Xbox as a child. I was told I couldn't use it 50% of the time because my brother was on it. I really have only played newer games. Like, the oldest game I owned on an Xbox system was the original Battlefront 2.
Okay. So, Sabre stole Dino Crisis from me, which I think, considering they've redone Resident Evil, I think they could definitely redo Dino Crisis.
Even if they used the re-engine or something like that, which would lend itself very well because I mean they're very similar kinds of games, really. The old Resident Evils and the Dino Crisis and Silent Hill, they all kind of were the same principle as such, the way they played and the puzzles and things. So they all lend to each other quite well.
Okay, so I have another one. I can answer my own question. I would like to see Fallout 1 and 2 remade. Obviously Bethesda owns the rights, so they would have to do it. But I would like to see Fallout 1 and 2 remade in first person 3D like we have the other Fallout games. Because they are missing now.
Here's the question. Do you want them remade in the modern way they have taken Fallout?
Yes.
Or do you want it remade in the Fallout New Vegas, Fallout Free style?
Oh, Right, well obviously...
Because you have a documented hatred for Fallout 4 and the new one which has come out, haven't you?
I don't have a hatred. I just think Fallout 4's skill perk system is very simplified.
There's a lot of issues with 4, honestly. I mean, the legendaries are just dumb. All legendary gear, barring like 3 things in the game, are naff. None of the characters from any of the factions are likable, or you don't care about any of them for a start.
But that's an entirely other thing.
Yeah.
Funnily enough,
But
one
yeah,
of the games I started playing and then never got back to.
I mean, Fallout 1 and 2, I would want them to try to maintain as much of the original feel of the games as possible. The only difference would be no longer top-down isometric and be 3D.
You know what they do need to bring
FPS.
back if they do remaster them? Vaxing the crotch.
The talking Deathclaws.
Oh, of
The
course.
talking Deathclaws was such a cool thing, and then they just never show up again.
Is that the fluffy death claws?
Yes, the fluffy ones come from Fallout Tactics, which is another game that could easily be done with a remaster or remake, depending on what you want to call these anymore now.
Redesigns.
Redesigns. Redesigns is probably a better term.
I feel like I've been kind of useless this podcast session. My answer to a lot of things has been, I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It's the first step of wisdom, is to ask a question, is to be able to say, I don't know. But perhaps for the next tea with Triclaw, you might want to come up with a question.
Oh, sorry. The tea with Triclaw that I had to suffer through 41-degree temperatures with, and I hate heat.
Yes, but maybe the next tea with Triclaw, next month, since
Hopefully.
I do want to definitely do one every month. But the next tea with Triclaw, we can start by discussing Fallout 4 and the problems with it, and we can we'll rail on some terrible games, I think, in the next tea with Triclaw.
I have a brilliant discussion I can actually bring to the next team of Triclaw. It's a segment called How Blind is Dane? Because that's happening next month as well.
Anyway, folks, I think we'll leave it there since we're up to nearly about an hour. Thank you, folks, for joining in. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all the usual YouTuber stuff. Do say hello to Sabre in the comments, and feel free to ask him any questions of a disgusting nature you might want to know the answers.
Blame him. Blame him.
I'm innocent. Leave me alone.
Oh yes, innocent, he says.
Yeah, but feel free to leave any comments about your thoughts on what we have discussed here today. Don't forget there are streams coming. Dane.
Don't look at me. I'm tired and I'm really warm and I have a job interview.
Videos coming, and we will see you in the next video and the next team of Triclaw. So it's goodbye from me.
Goodbye.
Bye.
I know it's goodbye from me, and Dane and Sabre just go goodbye. Anyway,
We have class.
we'll see you guys next time. Bye bye, everyone.